Let's go. Hello, my friends. It's your old pal, Peace, Love, Music. We're here with episode 12 of Learn TA with Landy. Landy's going to go over structure and market cycles with us today. Hello, Landy. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well, Peace, and I hope you're doing well as well.
I am.
Excellent. Well,
we're
going to go over.
Good.
We're going to go
as long as I'm not.
Yeah, you're lagging a little bit there for me, but hopefully this will get straightened up. But yeah, market structure and cycles. In particular, many are claiming that it's the bear market. That's we're moving into the end of the cycle, and it's the bear market. While ignoring actual structure for Bitcoin in particular, right? We know that structure has not looked very pretty for many alts, save for a few. Meme coins are taking a beating, in particular over the past few months, 2 months or so. This is, kind of par for the course when it is Bitcoin season still. It is kind of, Bitcoin season, no sleep season, crime season, and then back to Bitcoin season when everybody expects an alt season. So at this particular moment, the market is very unsure. A lot of participants in the market, I should say, are unsure of what's going on. So I wanted to cover that today, and it's actually not going to be a long episode. This is going to be fairly quick because these are all topics that we've covered previously, and it fits right in nicely with macro trend. And that's what we're going to be talking about here today as it relates to our daily, oh no, it's a daily downtrend still. We've been talking about that one for a while as well. So whenever you want to get started, brother, I'm ready to go.
Yep. Sorry, I forgot. I got to bring up your screen here. Here we go.
Yeah, no
this
worries.
Is what people want to see.
Hey, listen, man. I can easily talk about it and we can imagine it, like we do on our Spaces events. And then everybody messages me, "Can you show a chart, please? What the hell are you talking about?"
No, this is the whole reason why it works in this medium, right?
Yeah. But listen, Peace, I got to ask you a personal question. Are you scared of what's happening in the markets right now?
Oh, no, because I've already, well, I've accepted my mortality. I'm not worried. I'm, I'm already, I'm cool. I'm cool with how
Yeah.
things have gone so far in my life. I'm curious. I'm curious by nature, so I'm not scared. I'm not really scared of anything actually, except for not being able to protect my kids. But eventually, I can't. So a lot of
Well,
them are out of the house now. So. Am I scared about this? Nah, this ain't no thing.
exactly. And for many of us that have been around for at minimum a cycle, um, and maybe even some are panicking, but many people are panicking right now because the price drop for Bitcoin was very violent after the very violent upside move on Sunday. Many attribute that to the uh, uh, the Trump posts, right? Um,
Yeah.
and
Well, the move up was partly. There was definitely that sparked the move up, right? A little bit.
yeah, well, I mean, things were looking to try and head up anyway. Anyway, what it did is it exacerbated that move massively and
Right.
unnaturally, right? So markets were looking to try and form a low anyway, and we'll discuss that just for a brief moment here in a moment. But markets were trying to set a low and trying to move up to retest, the overhead resistance, which was prior support for Bitcoin in particular. But the big thing that many were missing in terms of, and I even drew out that scenario on Friday, this scenario that ended up occurring right in my actual recorded technical analysis videos that I do on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? So it was very unsurprising. I was not looking necessarily for the move to happen all in one candle. That's what it did, and we have to consider those things, right? But it did end up roughly in a destination that I described, in a scenario that I'd kind of hypothesized on Friday of three major scenarios, and now that it got pushed back down and began to run its lows again on Monday into today, Tuesday. Many people are now like, well, it's a downtrend. The market's clearly done. It's cooked. It's over. Panic. Get into stables. All this other stuff, right? And
Right.
quite frankly, you should always have some dry powder on the sidelines. But there is no structural change on the monthly
I was just
time
looking at
frame.
that. Monthly is actually still uptrend all the way.
Yeah, so this is pretty simple. I mean, this is an uptrending market structure when looking at macro time frames, right? So it's up and to the right with higher highs and higher lows. So we are in a bull market, higher high, higher low. So we got the higher. I'm sorry, this was a lower high, but we got a higher low, and summer into fall of 23, and then a massively higher high, higher low to a higher high. Now we did lock in this higher high as of the close of the February candle, so this is now a structural, not just swing high at 109 360, but it is also a closing high, and it is a closing higher high. And in terms of structure, this is a bull market. This is still a very healthy bull market with a very violent correction. And in fact, we've talked about this correction. We're talking about macro here, even. And I've been kind of pounding the table for the past month about where Bitcoin was in relation to volatility levels of interest. And we see that, Bitcoin got its January close right on the upper second standard deviation of our Bollinger Bands. Now, of course, that is 2 standard deviations away from the basis, which we know is the 20 simple moving average. And of course, being above the 20 simple moving average is that's we're in the bullish half of the bands, right? We're not in the bearish half. And structure is in an uptrend, so we're in a macro uptrend, meaning that this is fully a bull market still. There's no danger of breaking structure. And where would structure actually break from here? Like right here, right now, not considering any other factors playing out. Structure would break on closes below $49,000. Now, what I will say is bulls don't want to see lower low closes, right? But you definitely don't want to see the full market structure breakdown, because it still gives price a chance to recover, even if it closes above, in this case, $58,000, almost $59,000 here on the close open higher low. And then we have the lower low here at $49,000. Realistically, closes below $59,000 are going to be a signal that this could start to turn bearish, and definitely on closes below $49,000. From here, from the current position of price, it would have to drop those two major areas. Big warning signs below 59. A market structure, full-on market structure break below $49,000. That's when market structure would change. That's when we'd be entertaining a possible transition from a bull market into a bear market. And even then, we would need to see lower highs relative or equal highs relative to the current all-time high. So for instance, last cycle, very simply, I had a lot of people that were screaming at me in particular last cycle that this big higher high at $65,000 to this higher low at 28,000. This was the end. It's done. It's cooked. It's all over. Bear market right here, right now. We're going down to absurdly low levels, $10,000, $12,000. And the big thing is the last higher low on the monthly was actually right here from the August to the October of 2020 candle structure on the monthly. This was the last higher low. So on a close, it was coming in at around just shy of $11,000. On a swing or a wick, it was coming in at about just under $10,000. And my contention at the time was this is not, from a fundamental point of view, from the miners' production and miners' electrical cost and all kinds of different factors, just from fundamentals, from even key metrics that many fundamental analysts use for all of the famous metrics that you see for quant or quantitative analysis, your crypto quants, your Glassnode. None of it was pointing to this heading down and making a lower low or breaking market structure. The more likely thing that was going to happen is this was going to be a higher low, and that we had to watch for lower highs as it relates to $65,000, or a swing and a failure to close above that then puts in a high. Even if it's a higher high, then the danger is okay, wherever it puts in the next high, we have to then watch this higher low, because we put in a swing of the prior highs at 65. We now have an issue on our hands where, yes, we're moving from higher lows. If we fail to get continuation above $65,000, especially on closes, then we're failing to push higher to get that next leg, right? That's exactly what we got. In fact, we had the big expansion, some mean reversion, even under the lower first standard deviation away from that basis band here, and then a spike right into the upper second, and then a reversal off of that. We painted a high here. We tried to put in a higher low. It failed to confirm, went right into a lower high, bear market down. So realistically, it was actually the lower high that confirmed that this is now, in addition to the swing fail up here, and the failure to set a higher low, there was two big warning signs. And this was over the period of, we're talking November until April of 2022. So we're talking November of 21 until April of 22. This was, after this month confirmed, you really had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months to understand that this was now into prep for the bear market. And many people will say well, I was selling the highs. Well, maybe you had earlier indicators on shorter term timeframes that you're selling and getting out into stables or doing whatever it is that you do in these markets. Yes, but from a monthly time frame, we didn't actually confirm a bear market, in terms of structure until we got this lower high that confirmed. And then we subsequently saw this, we actually got when this failed to actually put in a low by closing above the February of 2022 swing high at 45,855, that was danger, that if April didn't continue after the failure from March into April, then we were likely going to see a lower high. That is a structure change. And then we're likely going to get downtrending structure by breaking this low. It did get bought off of that area initially. Everybody was buying this higher low, but it put in a lower low swing. It's got a lower high locked in. We're going down into the bear market, right? So from a monthly perspective, and yes, you can front run this on lower term timeframes, but from a monthly perspective, the confirmation came in technically on the breakdown into the bear market lows. And this is where we have to understand that, the cyclical nature of the entire 4-year cycle from high to high, we had very high periods of high volatility. We had, if you just look from a simple structure point of view, the interesting thing about 2017 into 2018 is this was a macro higher low, right? And then we got a lower high in 2019 and then the higher low in March of 2020. Right. So we were moving from macro structure, higher high, higher low, lower high, higher low, and then boom, up into a bull market. Now, obviously, from the point of view of the monthly, we're just simply looking at what kind of structure is this and is it changing structure? And that is going to determine the end of the bullish period and at least confirm what you're seeing on lower term timeframes, right? You'll get those confirmations. Hey, we're in for the long haul. Get to work. Start, planning out how you're going to allocate during the bear market to get all the coins you want, right? And at this phase, we are still in the full-blown uptrending bull market. And until that changes, none of what people are saying about this is the bear market matters. They can argue that there's outflows, that there's less wallets. We're seeing long-term holders. They can argue anything they want. But in terms of structure, it's a bull market.
I think a lot of the anxiety isn't over Bitcoin, because a lot of people in this cycle see Bitcoin as like a missed opportunity. They don't understand that you should still be accumulating Bitcoin now.
Yes.
Where they're looking at, a lot of people looking at this market as, I'm going to buy into altcoins because that's my opportunity. And I don't think we will have an altcoin season. There will be one. Yep. But I don't think all the altcoins are going to win the same as it's happened in the past. Like, I think that there's going to be a lot of altcoins that don't do jack shit, and they're just going to keep bleeding.
Well, you got to remember, even last cycle, there was a lot of altcoins that didn't do jack shit.
Sure.
And I'll point, and everyone will then get into the specifics about the why. Oh, well, XRP failed to make a new all-time high because of the cases, right? The SEC cases, right? And the lawsuits. Or, this cycle, it'll be a different narrative for different types of altcoins, right? So we get this every cycle. And if you have conviction in something, look at how XRP holders were rewarded. They were rewarded. And it doesn't matter what anybody thinks about XRP as a network. Doesn't matter what they think about the founders and the way that they've moved, or who they've palled with.
Unless they bought in late 2017.
Yeah, I mean, if they bought in late, then more likely than not.
Late 2017. They still haven't got a new all-time high, have they?
Oh no, they did. Yeah, no, they got a new all-time high.
It got over the 3 change that was the all-time high in 2017.
Yes. Yeah, I believe so. I believe we have seen new all-time highs in XRP, and in fact, we just go straight. It's a good vector, just kind of gut check, because and most the most hardcore XRP folks have been in it for the long haul anyway.
I have an uncle that's been in it for a long time. I have a lot of friends that have bought into it, and I don't give them a hard time about it. I want them to win too. I really do. When we talked to some of the XRP maxis, they really rubbed me the wrong way, because they're not dealing honestly.
And that's okay. From a market perspective, I don't care as a trader. I'm going to trade the asset, right? I'm not going to trade the community sentiment. You know, as a Bitcoiner, I caught a lot of shit for buying XRP, Ethereum, Litecoin, and all the rest in my Bitcoin centric circles. But you know, it was a play that has worked out over the years, but not without turmoil or pain within the markets. But as a trader myself, I'm interested in the price action. And some of the underlying fundamentals will affect price action, but when you have a large enough market cap, like many are very disappointed in Ethereum. Many are calling it the new XRP. It's going to go sideways for the next, 6 years or whatever. And you know, no one can tell you yes or no on these things, but I can tell you that if it's a big enough market cap and enough of a mind share with the public and with larger corporations, in the long term view, it can be very successful. But XRP made a new all-time high, right? It obviously sold off quite a bit from the new all-time high, but on the macro scale, it's still an uptrend, and it's probably going to come down and try to make a higher low as it related to its last higher low, which is coming in at all the way down at 38 cents on a swing, and on a close at 62 cents, right? So bravo to them for holding, and to myself, because I had a lot of XRP and I'm still holding. I sold a little bit of it just to take some profits after all this time. But the big thing is that in the macro scale in 2021, it failed to get that continuation that they were looking for, right? And then went and made, and this is actually a perfect example of macro structure, right? Massive accumulation here from 2013 all the way until 2017, where XRP then broke to new highs, right? Breaking that downtrend, nice higher low swing to higher high, and then went and tried for a higher low, but then got a lower high and went down into the bear market. It then made a structural break on a close, higher low, swing higher high to swing higher low, swing higher high, swing higher low. Everybody was looking for that continuation up. And this is actually a perfect structure to reference, because from the bear market lows in 2020, we had a lower high to higher low on a swing, and then a higher high to a higher low. So we had a lower high, higher low, lower high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, right? So we're in a nice uptrending structure. But the criteria at the time was we need to see closes back above this high at $1.96, just shy of $2, off of this higher low structure. So when XRP put in this, set this low, we needed to see continuation towards $1.60 and then $2 to go and set new highs and run to some of the deeper targets that many wanted to see, right? But what did it end up doing? It put in and confirmed a lower high in December of 2021. That now is a structure change, and then a structure break occurred when we saw May of 2022 kick off that structure break to the downside. We're now in a downtrending structure into a bear market where we have lower lows, lower highs. We then saw in 2023 slightly higher lows, higher low close, and then boom up to higher highs. There's your structure change, comes back down after accumulating for a while, goes sideways, puts in some nice higher low swings as it relates to the swings back here, and then boom, compression to expansion right to the top side, prior all-time high. Now, when evaluating a structure change in terms of macro trend and the market cycle, everybody's operating on 4-year liquidity cycles and a lot of this is driven by traditional markets as in general. And then of course, Bitcoin being subject to the 4-year halving cycle and how that fits in with traditional market cycle theory. We have not broken that. I'm seeing a lot of you can throw cycles right out the window because of XYZ. We haven't gotten confirmation of that. So people who are saying that are front running that narrative. And there are policy things and things happening throughout the world that might contribute to that, like a quote unquote super cycle. We have seen market structure changes on the more macro timeframes, your quarterlies, your 6 month, your yearly, is kind of coiling up and getting ready for something very big in the longer term, for some
So
something like Bitcoin.
specifically the term super cycle, I've heard that said a lot. Is that an actual thing, or is that just something people kind of theorize about,
Branding.
hoping?
It's hopes and dreams.
Yeah, right. It's not a
We're
real
going
thing.
to be subject to liquidity cycles. It's, do those liquidity cycles change, right? And we could be seeing a change in macro liquidity cycles with this, you know, the new administration in the United States, because of the way that they're not doing business as usual, right? So it's throwing everything off, which is one of the reasons why you're seeing turmoil in the lower term timeframes relative to this big monthly uptrend. But here's the thing. Let's say that let's say Bitcoin, you know, dips down and tests down here. I'm not saying that it will. Let's say it tests around, you know, let's say 70, you know, 68, 72,000 dollars. We'll give it just a little bit of buffer around this monthly closing high, right? Let's say Bitcoin comes down and tests this area. That's still bullish as hell. It's retesting an area that it broke out from and boom, up, right? Is that always going to be, is that the most likely thing to happen? Still in motion on the daily, right? But realistically, where would market structure change? Well, I'm going to draw out just a scenario. I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but let's say we have the high up here. We come down, we put in a higher low, you know, either here, right where it is right now from last month's low at 78, or let's say it's lower, like mid to low 70s, maybe even, you know, mid to upper 60s. You pick your poison there with that one. But let's say it comes back up and it swings and fails to close above the all-time high at 90. Maybe it even swings higher. Maybe it swings up and hits $128,000, but fails to close above that 109,360. Or maybe it does, but then it takes out the higher low. That is your structure break right there, right? In this hypothetical situation. I mean, even if it was going to make a higher high on a closing basis, still an uptrending structure, still higher lows. But if it were to take out the higher low, now we have lower lows, and then we look for structure to possibly start changing. Maybe a lower high, equal high from there, whatever it might look like, right? So that's one scenario for a structure change. And then you start into a downtrend. That is your macro structure change right there. That's one scenario. Another scenario is, you know, that's if it makes a higher high. It could even make a lower high, right? On a close with a higher high swing, like what we saw last cycle, and even a higher high close, but fails to get continuation. And then what does it do? You know, it comes down, tries to set another higher low, fails, goes lower high, and then does it down further. But there's a few different scenarios that can play out from here, but it's really all about where's the higher low right now and where's the high. Last higher low is at $49,000. The high is at 109,360. So unless we see $49,000 taken out right here, right now, there's no structure change. We're more likely going to put in a higher low. Then we have to pay attention to the high, because wherever the next higher low is, here, lower, higher, doesn't matter, right? Wherever that is, now the criteria is no longer this higher low. It is now going to be this higher low, right? So in this example, somewhere around $72,000, right? That would be the higher low that would cause a structure break if it was closed below. Or we look for lower highs, right? We have to look for lower highs. So higher lows maintains, then we look, okay, continuation above the high, or a lower high, or a swing fail. A swing fail would be trading above it, closing below that wick high of the this current all-time high. That'd be your swing fail conditions. And that's where you actually get those market structure changes, and where you see the end of cycle. And the end of cycle for many in these markets is the end of the bull cycle, start of the bear cycle. But realistically, we've been working in these 4-year cycles in general, where we have, you know, a bull and bear within that period. So technically it'd just be continuation of the cycle. Like, it's not actually the end of the cycle. It's just a sorry, bumped into my microphone. Just a continuation of the current liquidity cycle and a rotation from bull to bear. Now, the biggest thing is, what is the likelihood of this happening? Right here, right now, I want to know. And what I will tell you is, I don't care how many people are brilliant chartists, how many people get out there and say, this is going to happen, this is going to be the way that it plays out. They don't know. No one does. We are going with the flow. And we are just analyzing and doing and setting conditions based on what we are seeing. That's what makes great traders. You're not trying to predict the future. You're trying to find the areas of interest where you want to buy and you want to sell. That's the only thing that matters. And we'll bring this down to the daily real quick here, and then we're going to wrap up. Look, daily's in a downtrend. Monthly's in an uptrend. I want to say that what I proposed yesterday about bouncing off the lower second seems to be occurring. That doesn't mean it's going to hold up. What you want to see in terms of daily structure that's in a downtrend from here, because we are talking about structure, we're looking for a trend change. Can that happen? We look for it first on higher low closes or higher low swings, right? So even if we get closes below this lower low close, which is coming in at 84,000, we're looking for closes inside of this swing low at 78. So we're looking for either a swing higher low, a closing higher low as it relates to this closing higher low, at minimum a swing higher low. We're getting a nice bounce off the lower second. It's a volatility level of interest that I pointed out during an expansive phase where Bitcoin got a big mean reversion bounce. We looked to that lower second to try to provide support. I was looking at 80 to 82. We got that today, last night into today. And now, what is the criteria for a structure change? Criteria for a real structure change? Yeah, well, it would be nice to see a higher low set. Right now, a higher low would have to build itself out. Otherwise, to actually break the downtrend, we need to see closes on higher highs. The last higher high is now at 95,128. That would be a structure break. That is not an uptrend. Even if we got a higher low swing and break 95, that is still the beginnings of an uptrend. That's a trend reversal pattern or a trend reversal setup, because then we have higher lows on a swing, we've got higher highs on a close, right? So you've got two parts of a full trend. You then subsequently need to see higher low, higher high. You have full trend. We look to see how long that trend's going to last. And this could end up being a setup for that, but be careful. Like we don't want to count our chickens before the eggs hatch here. This is a nice bounce, still in the bearish half of the bands here. We need to see structural changes. And by the way, even on a close above $95,000, I don't care how far this is going to rip up. We're still looking for higher low or equal low structure to develop from there. So essentially, what are we looking for? If it were going to occur in this fashion, we would want to see from this guy to this guy, trend break, higher lows or equal lows, and then boom, 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 boom. Right? That's what we would want to see. Now, this is purely an example.
Right.
But we just want higher highs. That's a structure break. Higher lows or equal lows from there, and then take out that higher high. And then the same thing. Higher lows as it relates to this low, and then higher highs as it relates to this high. And then we're just working our way up. So don't get fearful. Don't get FOMO. You can take your time in these markets and position yourself in the right way to take advantage of these moves. It's still a downtrend until proven otherwise, and we get a trend break. Warning signs would be nice swing higher lows. This might go up and trend break for you bears. And other than that, there's not much to do, because we would still, even on a trend break, we still need to see higher lows or equal lows from there to build structure. And then you can start positioning and planning accordingly. And that's pretty much all I got for you today. Peace. I want to thank you so much for having me on. As usual, this was a shorter one.
Landy, I always love our conversations online and offline. You bring a tremendous amount of value to our viewership regularly, both on our shows and throughout the X spaces that you're always on, the videos you produce. So, you're always welcome in my neck of the woods, as I've said many times. But thank you for doing this. We could obviously go on, but we have our good friends Reese, 300, and GPSC. They have their art on stacks that has started. So we're gonna close down. But you guys should definitely be following at Crypto Landy if you haven't. The Landy bands are right in the top corner over there. You can, if you're into trading and you're using TradingView, you got a free set of indicators that you can get right up over in the top corner here from Landy. And that link will work when we're not live as well. We have a whole suite of all the episodes of the Learn TA with Landy series are available for free on YouTube. There's a playlist with all of them in it. This will be added lately. And thank you guys all for tuning in. Landy, thank you so much, brother. We'll talk again soon. I'm bullish on Landy. Follow him. Make sure you're paying attention to what he's saying. And obviously those examples were clearly exactly what he thinks is going to happen. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, peace. Hey, and obviously for those that watch this, most of you already follow Peace, but make sure you're following Peace and support DeOrganized Media and all these guys. They do a fantastic job, and I'm just honored that they bring me on. And it really is a privilege and an honor, my friend. Thank you so much, and we're going to do this all again next week.
Yes, we will. Thank you all so much for joining. I am Peace Love Music. He's Crypto Landy. We are DeOrganized Media, coming at you live on Bitcoin Live Decentralized Broadcasting. Thank you all for tuning in. Y'all have a blessed